Welcome to the Raising Them Ready podcast for parents. Here we encourage and support parents doing the best they know how to raise their kids to become confident, capable, and kind in an ever-changing and often unpredictable world. I'm Jonathan Catherman. I'm a family man, career sociologist, and best-selling author who believes our children's greatness tomorrow begins with good guidance today. Moving up to middle school. If you have a child in your family who's making the big move out of the comforts of elementary and into the wilds of middle school, well, this episode is for you. Just ask about anyone what their toughest school years were, and without hesitation, most will say middle school. Too big to be little and too little to be big. Kids in middle school today seem to be either riding waves of surging hormones or sitting front row on the emotional roller coaster that, yep, we parents are required to ride with them, our newly appointed teenager. It takes a special kind of educator to survive more than a single day of gathering the entire community's population of early pubescent tweens under one roof. With skills required to herd cats while strictly following the district's learning standards, middle school teachers really are the MVPs of our education system. That's why I've invited 3 all-pro teachers from one of the best middle schools I've ever worked with to share what they know every parent should know about your kid moving up to middle school. Amanda Wheeler, Stephanie Ford, and Nikki Kincaid have been in the classroom for 12, 22, and 28 years. Their own children range in age between 5 and 28, and I am very pleased to say they helped educate our kids through their years at Bailey Middle School. They absolutely love working with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders and believe that when done right, these years can be some of the most valuable in the development of your child's social, emotional, relational, and educational health. That's why they agreed to sit with me and talk about what students and their parents really need to know about making it in the middle school years. Everything from puberty to popular footwear, your kids' personal hygiene to managing their cell phone usage, making friends, tween talk, paying attention in class, cheating on assignments, sick days, problem-solving skills, and for sure, the biggest concern of kids and parents everywhere, bullying. So welcome to a very real, very educational conversation about raising confident, capable, and kind kids who are moving up to middle school.
Kids in elementary school, they're kids. They are all wrapped up in the family life. Everything revolves around what their parents are doing, what their siblings are doing. And the middle schools, when puberty hits and they start pulling away from their parents and start migrating towards friends. So I think the biggest worry is just keeping an eye on who they're hanging out with.
But did you hear yourself say the word puberty? And that just freaked every parent out enough right there.
And it's not as bad. Just make sure they wear deodorant. Like, please.
Yeah.
6th grade, not too early to start.
It's really not. Just the whole personal hygiene. That is kind of a big deal in middle school. I think that they don't really know how to take care of their whole body. And that can cause kids to pick on them and say things. So just make sure that they're bathing, brushing their teeth, putting some deodorant on. But the whole puberty thing, I don't think is something, it happens slow enough.
Half these kids coming into middle school are already in puberty. Some of these girls are starting in 4th grade, and boys are needing to, shave their little peach fuzz before they show up here on campus first day of 6th grade. But you're right, if they're not in the shower or bathing on a regular basis, that they smell, and kids are mean. Wash your clothes, yes, please.
And that would be a good activity for your child to actually do themselves, to learn about, hey, I'm becoming more independent, so I'm going to put my clothes in the washing machine and wash them and dry them. Maybe they might still need help folding, but that's just something that they can accomplish to get ready for middle schools too, because you're going to be having more independence and you're not necessarily kind of need mom and dad all the time, right? So even little steps like that will help with how they adjust to middle school of doing things on their own, because they are totally capable of doing things on their own. Because I just look at with science, we keep track of a science binder and we keep it organized and everything. They can do that, but if your mom or dad is always in there readjusting their backpack, they're never going to learn that organization for themselves. And,
to piggyback off of you, I agree. I think be ready to have some great conversations and pull back the doing for them a little bit. Be open to talk about how to keep organized, how to bathe and take care of yourself, how to handle friends and conflicts you may have, but not doing it for them. Teach your child to advocate for themselves, teach your child to handle situations for yourself and intervene when necessary, but not all the time.
I want to take a pause just for a second. And parents that are listening, those are 3 teachers, and not one of them in their initial comments said anything about academics. They talked about bathing, being personally organized, and parents butting out of your kids' business all the time and doing for your children what your kids should and could do for themselves.
Because all of that will fall in line with the academics. I mean, if they have the responsibility of doing their own laundry and, you know, taking care of themselves, then that will translate into academics. They'll maybe even do their homework. I mean, it's middle school though, parents out there. It's not the end of the world. I mean, let them fail. Let them fail. Middle school, there's no consequence to a failing grade other than they've failed a grade and whatever consequence at home you're giving them.
Clarifying, we're not talking about a whole grade.
I
I
was
was
gonna
saying,
say,
like, we're talking about like a test. I mean, 8th grade was the best 2 years of my life.
Don't let them fail. Yeah, I mean, so was my freshman year in college. Don't let them fail a whole grade. Let them fail a test. Let them even a class. I mean, if they're just not doing it, I mean, that's at some point it has to become their responsibility, and it's better for them to learn failure when the consequences are lower than when they get to high school and seat time matters, and you know it's kind of a bigger deal in high school to fail a class because you're going to have to definitely take it again. Let them feel it.
They're going to learn more from that experience. They're going to learn, okay, what didn't I do? What do I need to do?
It hurts as a parent to let that
it
happen.
does.
It's hard.
It's very hard not to intervene, but it's a necessary part of growing up.
What's it feel like as a teacher when the parent intervenes too much? Oh, I wish this was on video. You should see their faces right now.
It's sad. I think it's sad. I feel bad for the kid.
I typically respond back with, have your child come speak to me. You know, I like for your child to advocate for themselves. So if there's something that is concerning them, please ask them to come see me and we can discuss it.
Amanda's sitting here real
Yeah,
quiet.
I'm just
sitting here
I'm
real
just trying to
quiet.
think of everything because
I tell my students I make mistakes. Sometimes maybe I missed something or I put the wrong grade in. I will make mistakes. I'm not perfect. Just like they make mistakes, I'll make mistakes. And if you see something, come see me. Come tell me. Come ask me. Don't be afraid. I am your teacher, but there's nothing to fear with asking a question. And then we can have a conversation. But to just immediately get a irate parent, about a grade, but now it's like you're making a mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah.
When your child could have just simply said, hey, I thought I did better on that.
This is a good time for them to practice that. Because if you're moving into middle school and you haven't had that kind of interaction a more mature interaction with teacher, this is the time to start practicing that. Because from here, it just gets more levels of responsibility, higher levels of responsibility. So yeah, if you don't like your grade or you think there's something wrong, talk to the teacher.
Absolutely.
Parents, when your kids come home and they say, my teacher hates me. Again, I wish this was on video because you should see their faces. Is that true? Do you all hate your students?
not at all.
Nope.
Not at all.
No.
There's definitely times that we can get frustrated, right?
But every day's a new day.
Every day's a new day. It's a clean slate. Even a minute after, someone does something
Yes.
wrong, it's a clean slate. Like, here we go
That's
again.
The best thing about middle school teachers is every day is a new day.
Yep.
Yep.
And I tell them if they, you can be mad at me for a day, a week, a month. Like I'm over. Like you're my student. I'm not upset with you anymore. Make changes, and usually they're like, oh, okay. Well, I don't have to be mad at you anymore. You're not mad at me, so we can move forward.
Move on.
Yeah.
That's how they grow.
As parents, I think it's important that when our kids come home from middle school and they're frustrated about something, we are good listeners. And sometimes they got to practice talking it out. And they really haven't thought it all the way through. And now they're trying to turn it into a conversation, and it's just coming out all wrong. And they might say stuff that they don't mean. And as parents, I think we just need to just slow our roll a little bit, be good listeners, let it settle, then come back and talk to them a little bit more about it before we act.
Take a breath.
Yeah, we don't need to be fix-its, right?
Right.
We don't have to fix everything.
Right.
I try to take, when my kids are venting or something, I try to take the counselor role of, so how did that make you feel? What are your next steps? Just questions to see where they're going. And I mean, it's hard. I'm very opinionated and think I know the right way to do things. And it's hard not to tell them, well, you should. But I mean, you want your kids to grow up to be individuals. You want them to look at you and all the other adults and people in their lives and take the best parts and be that. So,
And be able to process for themselves. Figure
Right.
out when they're in a situation how to handle that situation. If it's always handled for them, they don't learn those steps.
yeah, there's no resilience.
None.
Yeah, they're not building that resilience. Yeah, resilience requires resistance. And so that resistance is a process where then what we do with it after the resistance is the representation of our resilience. So resilience is, how do you pick yourself up? And some people say, how do you bounce back? I'd like to see resilient people bounce forward. And if everything's easy, then your kids are not building resilience. They're along for the ride. They're floating by. So
And
I
then
like
when
to
it
joke about kids, I mean, we'll have, sorry if you're one of these parents, but after a parent conference or something, I just think, I hope you have a basement at home because that kid is never leaving home.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Too much due from the parents.
Yeah.
And I
Lawnmower
teach 8th grade.
parents,
So.
bulldozer parents, helicopter parents.
have you heard about these drone parents?
Oh, I haven't heard about drone yet.
There are 4 parenting styles. Indifferent, which is low expectations, low response. Then we have indulgent, which is low expectations, over responding to our kids. Then on the upper levels, we have authoritarian, which means you're going to do it my way because I said so. I am high expectations, low response. But then high expectations, high response to our kids is authoritative. That means I have high expectations of you kids, and here's why. In our home, I believe you can do it. Now, if you take a look at the indulgent parent, which we call helicopter parents, or snowplow parents, or lawnmower parents, or bulldozer parents, they basically clear the way for their kids because they don't want their kids to have any trouble. A drone parent, though, strikes from a distance. No one sees them coming, and they're taking out whoever's getting in their kid's way. So it's the parent who calls the school and wants to talk to the principal because Miss Stephanie gave their kid a bad grade in class, and the principal needs to go fix that problem. Miss Stephanie is the problem. The parent launches a drone strike from home, from their computer, from email, from something they post on social media. Now, I know I've got some parents right now who are like, I'm not listening to this anymore. No, parents, if you're saying that, you're probably a drone parent. Stop it. It hurts your kids. And it hurts these professionals because they're doing the best they know how. And it's our role as parents to raise our kids. It's their role to complement what we're doing to raise our kids.
Not only that, it hurts peer relationships, other relations. They don't know how to develop and interact without somebody clearing that path.
Yeah. I don't know how to do this without you is really what's happening in your kids if you're that helicopter, drone, bulldozer, lawnmower parent.
And then the first experience they have where their path is not cleared is where they have those meltdowns.
Yes.
The anxiety,
And now we're in a whole another area of mental health.
Right. That's exactly the problem, I think, is the due from all the parents.
But as a parent, I want my kids to have a better life than my own, and I don't want them to struggle. And it is hard being a kid these days, and those other kids are mean, and so I'm just trying to be helpful, we hear parents say. Right? I like, Nikki, how you said you got to let them fail. And parents, we're not saying that they fail to, it's not to the point of failure,
Right.
but it's where they don't get something right the first time, they got to circle back around and give it another go. So we got to stop paving the way for them all the time.
And it doesn't really matter like how that failure comes, whether it's they actually didn't know the content on a test or they didn't know how to respond to a peer. And it doesn't matter
or
what
they
it
forgot
looks
their
like.
lunch and you don't
Have
bring
to
it.
eat school
Right, you have to
lunch?
go see a school
Ew.
lunch. Oh my
Like seriously, don't bring their lunch to school. That is so serious. If they forget something, like let them ride that, let them have that consequence. That's a huge one. The amount of parents who will leave work, will stop doing whatever they're doing to bring them lunch. We serve lunch. they can buy lunch.
They can get a lunch here on
They can.
campus. It's
They
not
can.
like they're going to be hangry the rest of the day
Right,
because they didn't
right,
eat.
right.
Gotcha.
Or you forgot a pencil, because, you know, that's a big thing of like, you're not prepared for class.
Right.
And it's okay.
And now
Because
you
we
have
do
to
these
borrow.
little signatures for our behavior. And like forgetting a pencil. If you're not prepared for class, you might get a signature. And so you forget it once, you're not going to forget it again, right? Because you got your signature, now you're done, right? But going back to the failure thing is that you still want to make sure like you're checking up on their grades, you know? So we have Power School as our platform. And so parents have access, students have access to the grade. So you see your child fail a test or an assignment or something, you're aware of it, but you don't need to necessarily act upon it, right?
See what they do about it first.
See what they do about it first. Do they care? Do they not care? Because we do these things here is that we have like these working lunches that they can come back and do a retest. They do corrections and do a retest. So many kids in 6th grade especially don't do that.
Oh no, there's no especially. It's still happening.
You
in 8th
know,
grade.
and so that, I guess this is where your academic talk comes in of, well, they're going to pick friends over academics, you know, and so
They're going to want to go hang out with their friends rather than come
then rather
retake
come
of a test.
and do a retake a test. And there's your failure of going, I didn't make the right choice. I was not proactive in my education.
But if you have a parent that's going to fix it for you, you don't have to worry about it.
So what if a parent enters in an accountability with their child? So if you're on the portal for the school and you're checking once a week with your kids and you say, hey, I see you were tardy twice and you have missing assignments. Now, you don't parent fix that at the school. It's really isn't the parent's responsibility to fix it at the home? See, now how do we at home, what are our standards here at home? Again, that's high expectations. And here's what I can help you do to succeed. I won't do it for you, but maybe you're not going out on Friday night to hang out with your friends. You chose not to do 3 assignments.
Yeah.
So maybe you're choosing to stay home and make up those assignments.
It's not really happening. I can't.
It's not
really,
happening. I
there's
know
not
it's
happening.
idealistic, but
It's really scary too, the things that kids can do at school, and then go home and not have any consequence. I understand, you know, the double jeopardy with consequences if you're being punished at school, but at the same time, again, do you have a basement? Because that's where your kid's going to be if you excuse poor behaviors, or they're going to be somewhere worse. If you excuse poor behavior and just allow them to kind of run, you know, and it's not even that free range kids that when, like, at least I was growing up, it's a different free range now. They're the ones in charge, it seems, a lot of times at home. It's not equal. It's not a balance. I understand, you know, respecting everyone in your household, but you're the parent in the house. You're the adult. You don't have to be, what is it, authoritative? Is that the right one? Authoritarian. You don't have to respond like that, but also let's back off. It's not time to be friends with your kids.
they shouldn't run the house. It should be a we thing at our home, not a you versus me thing.
And a role
Help
model
us do
too.
the
Role,
laundry.
please, parents.
Because I look at and I told my kids just the other day about being on your phones, right? And I'm like, you know, we get all onto the kids about being on their phones, but what is that adult doing on their phone as well? So
While driving.
yeah, right. So
Yeah.
it's like, so you got to look at what you're doing too to see what is my child seeing what I'm doing. You know, if I have a problem at work, how am I getting through it?
It's not easy being a parent, but it does take some effort, does take paying attention, it does take being aware. I don't think any kid has the same story. They all have different stories. They all live in different neighborhoods, houses. They have different families. They have socioeconomic. They have a single family, two parents at work, whatever it takes for that family to survive. And I think parenting is exhausting, but you're not parenting if you're not aware and not active and present in your child's life.
Can I quote our principal and what he tells us?
Please do.
that there are people who are parents and there are people that have kids, you know, and it's like that's exactly what we are seeing
Yes.
here. It's like people who parent and people, those who have kids.
Right. And if the kid whines loud enough, they don't want to deal with it, so it's just whatever,
Yeah.
just whatever.
Because that's easy.
'Cause that's
it's
easier.
so easy to just give in to what our kids want. I mean, I've done it. I'm sure we're all guilty of just
Sure.
fine.
But middle school's different because, like, in elementary school, we were still a whole lot bigger and smarter than them. And all of a sudden, in middle school, it's like some switch flips, and all of a sudden, they're like mini adults in our home, and yet they're unpredictable one day to the next. Okay, so parents, we're done ragging on you. We're not. I'm sorry about that.
Some of you, most of you are doing a great job.
We believe in you. We only say that because we believe in you. Let's get to your kids showing up on campus here this next year. You have a incoming, moving up to middle school student in your home. What are some of the essentials? What do these kids absolutely need to come to this campus and succeed? That $150 backpack?
No. Just a positive attitude.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was
right?
going to say.
Just a positive attitude.
So many negative connotations to middle school.
Yeah.
Kids, I think they really dread it. Parents dread it. Sixth graders, I know, are excited. Yeah, just
It's a
be
big
excited.
change. Big change going from that single classroom to now, you're changing classes.
You don't
got
have
a
to
little
walk in a
more
line
freedom.
necessarily.
Right, a little more independence.
Don't
It's
have to
that
have
middle
bathroom
ground.
buddies. And
Right.
Wow.
So it's trying to gain a little independence, but still keeping them safe. within
Definitely don't need the
realm.
backpack.
definitely what?
Don't need that $200 backpack.
Don't need a $200
I mean,
backpack.
let's go to
I've seen the
Walmart.
lost and found. There's some $200 backpacks
Oh,
and I lost
I
it
know.
on.
And they
And
just
lunch
throw
boxes.
them.
And they don't.
They're
yeah,
not
your-
at the age
your-
to take
yeah,
care
your
of it.
kids, they think, I mean, maybe, listen, I'm going to go ahead and advocate for the kids. Maybe buy them the shoes. Get them the shoes. Because there is something to say about what style or like what's in. And, of course, you teach your kids that you don't have to wear those shoes to be cool or whatever, but it is middle school. So, I mean,
I
if they're-
remember that.
Yeah, it's
I had
kind of
parachute pants, and they were cool, and it made me
know.
cool to have parachute pants. So
Right.
yeah, maybe get your kids the shoes. What I think is hilarious when I go by the lost and found, and I see a shoe in the lost and found.
How does that happen?
Who made it home with wearing one shoe? I mean, how did you not notice? It's, left foot feels different. I don't get that.
Right? Yeah, it's hard to
It's
tell.
middle school.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't have to have expensive backpacks, but the style is important to middle schoolers.
It is.
Peers
We
are
all are.
Here's
important.
let's talk about their friends.
Yeah.
I mean, you're known by the friends you keep, and in middle school, you often have multiple elementary schools coming into one campus in middle school, so they're going to meet new people.
Yep.
And what is like the best advice from on the ground experience you see that kids navigate this well, and then what is the caution for parents if there are the ways that they can help kids kind of not fall into the wrong crowd? Let's start with the great ways to find new friends that are good.
So, my advice is just, you don't have to have a friend on the first day of school, the second day of school. Just take a minute and kind of learn your environment, watch kids, see how they act, and you can kind of match your morals and beliefs up with
That's a good one.
what
Yeah.
what they're seeing.
Does everybody have to be friends?
No,
No.
no.
No, and that's what I tell the fifth graders when they go work with them. I say, look, not everybody's going to be your friend.
Nope.
Don't be offended.
Nope.
Just look for a different friend.
Right. And they don't, I mean, middle school, they are kind of mean. Middle school
Mhm.
kids
They
are
can be
mean.
mean.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Can be.
Yeah. I don't know really what to tell parents about that, because their kids are going to come
I guess
home.
this is more of like that, coming back to like the helicopter parent, about like if your child does have a phone, you need to be checking that phone, because we have like a 6th grade group chat, and it's ridiculous of the drama that they extra bring in and things, and it's like, just manage the phone, know that what social medias they're on, and post and things, because that's when the kids are getting in trouble, is what they're saying behind that phone, not what they say
Right.
necessarily face to face. So it actually happens probably more off campus than it does on campus.
But
And
a little note for parents: if it happens off campus, but the residue, if you will, comes back to school and it's causing drama at school. It doesn't matter. It happened off campus. It is still like a school's right to discipline your child for that behavior because it's causing havoc in the school.
And in a way, it's a form of bullying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sometimes
It is.
it gets really bad.
Yeah. Parents, let me remind you, that phone that you've given your middle schooler, you own that phone. You own the contract. It is not their phone, it is your phone. Your kids should never say, my parents took away my phone. You will never take away their phone. You are repossessing your own phone. If they have an app, then I believe that you should have access to that. If they have chat, then you should have access to it. Doesn't mean you're snooping, and I don't want you in their business all the time. There's a point where they have to grow to a level of independence, but that comes with maturity. And when they demonstrate that they are mature enough to have that level of independence, then you are releasing them. You know, give them the instruction and then let them go. And come alongside them, give them guidance, and then let them go. And when there's high levels of trust, they'll return to you for counsel, of which then you can give them, but then you have to let it go. But all of that is based on maturity. And having a cell phone or digital device gives them access to the whole world and every kid on campus in one way, shape, form, or another, and they need to be mature enough to manage that. It's not a toy, it is a tool. Sure, they can have fun with it. It is part of their culture day. It's like the sneakers. You know, I really want the sneakers.
Right.
Yeah, I want the phone too. It makes sense. I totally get that. But it's just not free range on that phone. That'll hurt. That can really hurt.
It can. And especially with the access to the things that kids know. I mean, they'll say something. I mean, you guys do it too, right? Like the kids will say something, you'll go to the computer and you're like, oh man, you should not be saying that. Do you know what that means? And then I'm waiting for my principal to come in and ask me why I'm Googling that certain thing.
Right.
It's not appropriate for school.
The new terminology, like we constantly have to keep up with like words that are just new slang.
New abbreviations, new slang, new emojis, new meanings to old emojis, new meaning to old slang.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep up on. Parents,
I
you need to
know.
tune into this.
For sure.
Doesn't mean you have to be an expert, but just be tuned in that if your kids are engaged, what they're engaged in, how they're talking, what they're talking about. They are probably on their phone doing things that you don't want them on their phone doing. This is part of the age. We used to just, when we were growing up, now I'm going to sound like an old man, right? When we were growing up, and we waited for the streetlights to come on so we would come home. It's true, right?
True.
But our version of experimenting was going further than the fence line we were told to go to.
Maybe a little spin the bottle.
Maybe a little spin the bottle, right? Yeah. Okay, but today they can Google search or
Anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just so parents, just please be aware of where your kids are and what they're doing.
They are so much more knowledgeable and advanced in their.
Are they knowledgeable or are they
Well,
exposed?
Exposed. Totally exposed, not knowledgeable. Exposed to so much more.
Yeah, I mean, my son learned
So
what a
much.
booty call was accidentally because my dad had butt dialed him. So he remembered this term later
Wait.
and looked up booty call and then was like, I don't think that's what Granddad did.
And I had a sixth grader tell me that she had chlamydia in the middle of class. So we had to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Is this because she had searched this on her phone and made a
Probably
self-diagnosis?
overheard it. I think she overheard it, and maybe, I don't know, thought it would be funny, not understanding.
Right. So yes, exposed. They are exposed. They
They're
do not
exposed
understand.
to a whole lot more, and they're experimenting. I don't mean by they're doing bad things. They're trying to figure out where the boundaries are, and what is accessible, appropriate, and what's accessible but exciting, and what's accessible but not. And I know you're aware of this, Mom and Dad. If you're not aware of this, you need to get on my website, find my phone number, and call me because we need to chat. If you are aware of this but you're not doing anything about it, that's a different story.
Hope you have a basement.
Right.
Well, we're gonna keep. I think that's what we're gonna call this episode. I hope you have a basement. Let's talk about something fun though. Okay, something.
Okay.
The best parts of middle school include.
Oh my gosh, they're so funny. I mean, because they are still kids. They're not quite adults in any shape, but they're funny. I think I love how funny they are, and they're still
They're
still,
loving.
yes,
They are.
yeah, they still like their teachers for the most part.
They don't like to show it sometimes.
Yeah,
but
definitely
like 'em. Deep
not.
down,
Yeah,
they like 'em.
you can tell. You can tell with a bye. Oh, I had a good day with you.
I think every parent should come to the school and not visit their child, but they need to do it during passing period. They need to stand on a random corner and watch the herd of children move through the hallways. It's pure comedy and slightly scary, but it's hilarious. And then within a few minutes, they're in their classrooms and you're shell shocked and you realize my kid's okay. My
Right.
kid's okay.
Yeah,
My kid's
yeah,
okay.
you do worry for a minute. They're about to start a mosh pit, like especially on the way out of school. Oh yeah, you think for sure that's going to happen, or you're going to see a kid pass overhead or something. But yeah, they make it.
They're hilarious. They are fun, aren't they?
They are fun.
They've got great senses of humor
I was
too.
gonna say sarcasm is taking place, and it's fun.
Yeah.
To be
Starts a
sarcastic,
little
and they
bit in 6th grade
Yeah.
and then kind of grows.
kind of pushing with them, and then they give it back to you a little bit, and it's fun.
Okay, so I'm going to run a test here. I am holding in my hands
Oh,
two
goodness.
books, The Manual to Middle School and The Girl's Guide to Conquering Middle School. I'm just going to flip to one of the topics in the book, and I'm going to ask you, how important is this in middle school?
Okay.
All right, here we go. So here's the topic, dating.
Not important.
Not important. They think it's important.
They think it's important, but it's
Right.
not
Because
important.
I mean, I think every middle school, like even me growing up, like I have a crush on this guy. Like, oh, that could be. And
it's
Like, are we
Big
talking
deal.
the long run, or are we talking like what kids feel? Because the 8th graders dating is extremely important.
Well, these books were written after interviewing over 300 educators and students about what they thought was important in middle school. Like, what is the stuff that comes up in middle school, right? Well, I've just opened a dating. It's going to shock a lot of parents. The first thing you say is dating. Yeah, your
Right,
kids come in,
right.
they're like, oh, they're cute, they're cute, they're
Yeah.
cute, they're cute.
For sure. And there are like real dates happening, kind
Oh,
of.
yeah.
Real dates.
Yeah,
I don't.
where-
I tell the kids like it's not a date if your parents have to drop you off.
Well, that's true. That's true. But they are dropping them off, I mean, it's
Meeting up at the
I mean,
mall,
yeah.
hanging out and get the movie.
Yeah, so
All
be
right,
careful
cheating.
about that one.
Is that a real thing in middle school?
Yes.
That is. Yep.
They all try to cheat.
Yep.
Bigger and bigger. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It
Yeah,
does
it
not
doesn't matter.
matter. Actually, you know what? That's the whole let them fail thing. Let them fail early, because the kids who typically make the best grades and have the hardest classes, they're the ones cheating the most.
Ooh. All right, random page selection. Sick days. I hear there are more kids calling in sick than we had in a long time in many schools. So parents, just be aware, is this a real illness or is this something else?
Right. Because we want you to keep your kids home if they have a fever or
We
they're
want 'em to be
throwing
safe.
up.
Right.
Yeah.
But if they just, my tummy hurts or I have a little headache, Pepto, Tylenol, let's go.
And sometimes it's anxiety because
Yeah.
they didn't do the homework or there's a test.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so
Okay, how about this one?
Okay.
Brushing your teeth.
Please do
Yeah,
that. Please, that's extremely important.
Yeah. Hygiene.
it's important for us. But I have heard from an 8th grader that's why she chews gum,
Oh,
Okay.
because she forgot to brush her teeth. She was chewing gum.
Okay.
She took the detention for it.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Problem solving. This is good time to start practicing problem solving skills.
For
Oh,
sure.
absolutely.
Really good time.
Not everything's gonna be fed to you on a silver platter, right? Like it's working your problems out, figuring it out. This comes back to the looping of the failure, right? How you're gonna get yourself.
And parents allowing them to
Yep.
figure it out.
Yep.
All right, how about middle school? I hear a lot of this swearing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
It starts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't like it, but
Right.
I mean, if your parents are doing that, it's coming back to
Right.
the role model, right? If they're here in the household,
I'm in
then-
trouble.
Well, some parents are like, no,
Yeah,
we don't
like-
talk like that in our house. But they're here, they're like, I'm going to try this out, see how this goes. Because my
Yeah.
friends are talking like
Yeah.
this, and this is how we talk. Mom, it's just how kids talk today. All right, lying.
Oh,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
100%.
All the time.
They all do.
They all
To
do
you
like,
too. To
About
you too,
everything. Oh,
parents.
yeah.
They do to you.
Oh, yeah. They lie to everyone.
Okay.
over stupid things. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Yeah.
So what can we do about that one?
They know your looks.
Yeah.
They know you know.
So parents,
they know you're
we
lying.
know when they're lying. That's the funny part. They may think that they're getting away with it, but we know. And if you know, then let them know. All right, body odor. I think we covered this one,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
please.
But I'm glad we're circling back, please, and make sure they.
Okay, parents, body sprays and perfumes and colognes are not meant to cover up stank. It's supposed to, and teach them how to wear appropriately. But yeah, please get those kids, make sure they're showered.
Bathe. Yep.
bathing,
Shower,
yeah,
bathe.
bathing.
Hair. Wash their
Yeah,
hair.
clean clothes.
Comb their hair.
Combed hair. I don't know. It's kind of
Or-
a messy
or
look,
not,
I
I
think.
guess.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Erica's stylist said that she has these girls come into the salon and they're about middle school, early high school, and they haven't figured out how to wash their hair yet.
Yeah.
And they've got beautiful long hair. They
Yeah.
just aren't taking care of it.
Yeah.
So, parents help them out. Okay, let's end on this one. Bullies.
yeah.
Yeah. What can parents do if their kid is really, truly being bullied? What's a proactive approach? And if it's happening at school particularly, what's something a parent can do to help their kid and the school through this process?
They need to tell somebody. Because a lot of times the child will go home and tell the parent without telling anybody at school,
Yeah.
where it could have been handled immediately if they had just told us.
While
could
it
be-
was happening here on campus.
While it's happening, after it happened, tell a friend to go tell somebody. But we need to know. We can't watch and handle situations when we're not told. And by the time you get home, now, of course, as a parent, you feel devastated for your child. But if we could handle that like immediately, it's just a better situation.
And I think we need to be careful with that
With the word bully. Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
somebody
if
who doesn't like me is not a bully.
right.
They
right.
just don't like you.
Yeah,
You're not
I mean,
friends.
bullying's consistent. It's something that like actually makes your stomach hurt, not want to go to school. I think
Right.
just one thing, one incident isn't necessarily bullying. So I think we need to be careful with that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, I mean, your kid might actually be putting themselves in a
That's true.
situation that is not good for them. So I think that
Or
that's
instigating.
yeah, that's
Or
right.
making comments.
Mhm.
There's a lot of times where kids have an opinion and other children are having a conversation and they like to interject where it's not their business. And so that a lot of times will create conflict.
And then we say, because there's conflict, now you're bullying me.
Correct.
Yep,
And they're just
exactly.
sort of using the word. So,
Yep.
technically speaking, bullying is repeated, unwanted, aggressive behavior that involves a very real or believed power imbalance.
This
So-
happens more, I think, as you were saying, the whole phone thing. I think it happens
Yeah.
less face to face. Like those are just the things that happen at school in face to face. I think are just isolated incidents. Sometimes it's the phone warriors
Yeah.
that
But
get really ugly.
a disagreement is not bullying. A disagreement is a disagreement.
Correct.
Yep. Help your kids
Correct.
navigate disagreements. That's part
Right.
of growing up.
We're
Yeah.
not always going to agree. We have different opinions, and that's okay. And we have to respect each other's opinion.
But if
Don't
they
have to
are
agree with
truly
it.
being bullied, they need to talk to somebody
Oh,
when
for
it's
sure.
happening.
Immediately.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
at school, as Stephanie said, that the amount of times that we hear about things that are happening after the fact, where kids are getting pulled out of our class to go to another class because of bullying, and we
had no idea.
I had no idea, didn't see. It's not because we're oblivious or not paying attention. It's
They could have been
Yeah.
on their computer.
yeah, it's happening in
could
the
have
been
bathroom
digital
bullying. In the
or
bathroom.
PA.
Yeah.
Common areas.
All right, final words for parents. What's your wisest advice for the family who's got a kid moving up to middle school?
Communicate. Just communicate. That's my biggest
Be
piece
present.
of advice. Yep.
Communicate with.
With the kids,
Child.
just every day, like whatever thing you have. Ours at home was always best part, worst part, funniest part of your day, and sometimes that was quick and over, and sometimes it opened up, some issues or things that we need to talk about. So whatever you need to do as a family, just have that quick conversation every day with your kids.
And
Check
be,
in
and be able to talk about anything your child feels they need to talk about
without judgment.
without judgment. 100%.
That's hard.
That is.
Yep.
Confidence,
Yeah.
self-esteem, just because I look at it like the first day of school, like parents walking their child down the 6th grade hallway, and it's like,
Oh, you're doomed.
no,
Right.
yes, no.
you have
If
a
you're talking about
basement?
bullying, there's one that right open up, right? Like your
Allow them
mom
to
and
be
dad,
independent.
Allow them to be independent.
Age appropriately
Yes.
independent.
Yes.
Excellent. My boys love coming to school here. A lot of kids don't like middle school. My boys enjoyed it. They enjoyed this campus, and I think you're a big part of the reason why. So thank you for the commitment you make to our community, to our kids. And I know you're in it for the money.
Yeah.
I know you're in it because you care about people, particularly the ones that are kind of hard to care about at a stage of life, middle school. So parents, hang on. This too shall pass. These are going to be some great years. There are going to be some real struggles in this year. These teachers are your advocates. I encourage every parent to get to know their kids' teachers. You don't have to do like super nice things and buy them coffee every time you see them at Starbucks, although that doesn't hurt. But just get to know them. They're real people and they're good people. So.
Yeah, just tissues, classroom tissues.
Yes.
Doesn't have to be Starbucks.
No,
Just some
tissues. I agree.
tissues, hand sanitizer, you know.
Hand sanitizers and tissues, because middle schoolers are dirty.
Right.
Oh
Maybe
my
some
goodness.
deodorant for that.
Yeah. Communal deodorant.
Cut all that out. It's fine.
Thank
Ew.
you. Thank you so much for your time. This has been wonderful. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A special thanks to all teachers across the grade levels. By following the call into education, you have given of yourself far more than most of us will ever know. The students you have poured so much of yourself into over the years are truly blessed to have had you as their teacher. On behalf of parents everywhere, thank you for educating and loving our children. Parents, if you're learning from and enjoying the Raising Them Ready podcast, be sure to pick up a copy of the Raising Them Ready book. It's available wherever you buy books, digital, print, or audio. There you'll also find our other best-selling life skills and personal development books for tweens, teens, young adults, parents, educators, and mentors. In consideration of this episode, might I suggest picking up a copy of the Manual to Middle School or the Girl's Guide to Conquering Middle School for your moving up to middle school student. To learn more about my speaking engagements, parent and professional development workshops, and consulting services, please message me through our social media pages or email me through our website. You can find, like, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Raising Them Ready Podcast or on our website at raisingthemready.com. Also, please follow and leave up to a 5-star review wherever you listen to this podcast. If you have questions, comments, or suggestions about topics or guests you'd like us to bring to the Raising Them Ready podcast, I'd like to hear from you. Simply contact me through our social media pages or website. Again, on Facebook and Instagram at Raising Them Ready Podcast and online at raisingthemready.com. Thanks again for joining me and our amazing guest teachers in today's discussion about raising confident, capable, and kind kids who are moving up to middle school. Now go and enjoy the day, knowing your child's greatness tomorrow begins with your guidance today.